The first was just disappearing in the Straits of Bonifacio. The other, following an opposite direction, was about to round the island of Corsica. This sight reassured him. He then looked at the objects near him. He saw that he was on the highest point of the island, a statue on this vast pedestal of granite, nothing human appearing in sight, while the blue ocean beat against the base of the island and covered it with a fringe of foam. Then he descended with a cautious and slow step, for he dreaded lest an accident similar to that which he had so adroitly feigned should happen in reality. Dante, as we have said, had traced the marks along the rocks, and he had noticed that they led to a small creek, which was hidden like the bath of some ancient nymph. This creek was sufficiently wide at its mouth, and deep in the center, to admit the entrance of a small vessel of the lugger class, which would be perfectly concealed from observation. Then, following the clue that, in the hands of the Abbe Faria, had been so skillfully used to guide him through the Daedalian labyrinth of probabilities, he thought that the Cardinal Spada, anxious not to be watched, had entered the creek, concealed his little bark, followed the line marked by the notches in the rock, and at the end of it had buried his treasure. It was this idea that had brought Dante back to the circular rock. One thing only perplexed Edmond, and destroyed his theory. How could this rock, which weighed several tons, have been lifted to this spot without the aid of many men? Suddenly, an idea flashed across his mind. Instead of raising it, thought he, they have lowered it. And he sprang from the rock in order to inspect the base on which it had formerly stood. Good gracious, folks. You don't get to experience this, but I often have to do multiple takes of certain words that I can't speak. Maybe those keen-eared listeners can find the edit breaks in my episodes. I'm going to tell you, if you want to re-listen to this episode, Daedalian, i.e. arrived from Daedalus, was a word I think I had to do more takes on than anything I've done on this show before. There's just something about the flow of word, letters, sounds in it that just does not roll off my tongue. Daedalian. My God, I think I've done 50 takes of it. But that aside, let's not pull the curtain back, but put the curtain back in place and talk about the the actual text here. That is more of Dumas connecting what Dante is doing, his journey here, to a kind of mythic proportion. Because Daedalus is the inventor of the labyrinth. He's also the father of Icarus, who made the wings for his child, who flew too close to the sun, etc., in order to escape the labyrinth. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about Dumas creating a sort of... Well, you know what's interesting is that, like, we talked so much at the beginning of chapter 23 about his dream, and in his dream, the pathway to the treasure, or at least the pathway out from the treasure, was described like a labyrinth. We also talked about that being wish fulfillment. So here, it's not only tying it to mythic proportion, but it is tying it to a kind of dream coming true. And we're seeing Dante act in a way that is a direct result from his work with Faria, because a young Dante would have just probably rushed headlong into things. He was naive. I wouldn't say he was impulsive, but he wouldn't, I think, have the patience to really wait and watch to make sure that those boats heading in opposite directions are out of sight. I don't think he would wait and look at all of the elements of the situation, the rock being rounded and several tons, and try to make the deduction that he does that it's too heavy to move without men. And clearly Spada didn't have men if he was trying to conceal a treasure. So how do you go about this? He's pulling it apart like a puzzle and trying to find a logical answer so that he can move forward smartly. And we've been talking a lot about the serialization of this story over the last couple episodes. And I think this chapter I want to reveal something that kind of spurred this project on to begin with. But I don't think today's the day. Maybe that's the end of the chapter reveal. I'm going to think about that. But for now, I think we've covered enough for this passage. I'm just chomping at the bit to see what's going to happen and get to this secret cave. How is Dante going to uncover it? And what is he going to find there? I guess there's only one way to find out, and that's to continue with Chapter 24 tomorrow, right here. You know where to find me. Until then, okay, goodbye. The Countdown of Monte Cristo is part of the Gruntwork Podcast Network. This show is produced, edited, and hosted by Landon Solano. The original text of The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexandre Dumas. Theme song by Magic Solo. If you want to support the show and others like it, visit patreon.com/gruntworkpod. Thank you for listening. See you tomorrow.